So I think this portfolio stuff is really cool. I love that you're doing this entrepreneurial stuff. And something that occurred to me as you were describing it, it sounds very easy to use. I'm going to have to create one right after this. I'm embarrassed that I didn't do it before we started, but I bet a lot of people after they create these, you mentioned how it kind of blends LinkedIn with social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok. There probably are, you probably know lots of cases of people sharing these publicly when they're looking for a job on, say, a TikTok profile.
Absolutely. It was interesting where my thoughts got a bit validated. So when there was an article that went viral about a recently laid off young woman that basically did a TikTok video as her resume, and it went really viral, and she got picked up by a couple of companies. And so I thought about that, and I'm like, well, why did that happen? It's because she was able to express everything that you really couldn't express in a written in written form, right? Like the emotion of it, the what happened, all of those things in honestly, I think it was like a 90-second or maybe 3-minute video. And so if you think about that, there's so many like videos, but what is the I don't know this. I'm ashamed. I should know the stats because you guys are a stat community or the data community. But a video speaks 10 million words versus what's on paper. And so, the mannerisms, the emotion, all of that is getting articulated as someone is watching you. And so that's where I thought, okay, well, I think I'm on the right track. And by the way, John, I might be too early. I might be really early where there's sort of I'm in the early adopter phase of maybe it's really senior folks that want to do this versus early entrants or whatever. But yeah, I do have some empirical research to share, and I think you'll enjoy this. When I was kind of on my research journey as we were building features of this platform, we talked to the Meta team. Okay, and so some good friends of mine at Meta, they had Meta Workplace. They ended up sunsetting it, but that team said, "Deepali, I think you're on to something." They said there's two groups that love video. Can you name those two groups?
Two groups that love video,
Video.
like demographic groups or like job.
Demographic groups.
Young people love
Yeah.
video, for sure, and then I feel like the second one is gonna be a surprise. Um,
Boomers.
oh,
So they found in their empirical research that Gen Z obviously love video. They've grown up, they're the quote TikTok generation, right? So they're not afraid to do video. And I think even in hiring practices, like if they were asked to do a video, they do it, as part of the process and, they wouldn't think twice about it or they're not afraid of there's no intimidation factor. But the surprise group were the older generation. And it's a surprise and it's not a surprise. The older generation has a lot of experiences. And they're the generation that they're definitely not going to write it down. They're going to tell stories. And what better way to tell stories than on video? And so they really adopted it really, really well. So, like I said, I might be early because we're kind of in two different factions. And so the middle, right? The millennials, the older millennials, the Gen Xers are kind of like head down, I'm doing what I'm doing, and this is what I'm all about. And I really don't need this. But what I'm saying is that the next generation of talent, if you're not developing your personal brand, which is why I started this, like everyone's going to have a personal brand because they're going to have a portfolio career. You are not going to just work for your company. You're going to work to build your internal and external brand so you can take it from one company to another.
very cool. It makes so much sense to me. I think you're absolutely spot on. If we have people out there listening who aren't Gen Z or baby boomers, what can they be doing to overcome camera shyness? Do you have any tricks?
Yeah. So think about, how you're interacting on Zoom calls, right? Are you multitasking? Are you looking at the person? Just observe yourself behaviorally when you are on video. And I think, no one is telling you to go on TikTok and do videos and start, a viral movement, but it's part of the reason why, and again, I'm kind of coming back to sort of what the thought process was in the video creation piece of portfolios is the record and the re-record. I didn't like that. Do it again. Do it again. So I think it's the same tips and tricks that we would ever do. Rehearse your answers for an interview. Talk about it with a friend. And so we make it unintimidating with those prompts and teleprompters, and you organize your thoughts so you don't feel like it's intimidating for you, right? And so I think having those conversations, knowing that you've appeared on Zoom many times, what if that meeting is recorded? It's going to go somewhere. I think, it's a it's something that people are just going to eventually have to get over, right? I mean, it's table stakes now.
Yeah, I'm sure it will get easier and easier because of the way that we are so remote. We're used to at least hybrid working. Most people in tech, although some fintech companies, I'm sure, require you to be in 5 or 7 days a week. Um,
Some, I won't name names.
um, as a bit of an anecdote on that, prior to Nebula, I was the chief data scientist at another HR tech company called Untapped, untapt.com. And we, like you, thought, video is going to be really important. Video interviews would be great. It would allow our talent to showcase themselves. Now, all of the talent that we had in the platform were software developers, and almost nobody used video. But that was years ago. That was pre-pandemic, and I'm sure it is shifting for sure.
Yeah. Slowly but surely.